but you haven't had to actually use your own money. So at the end of the 5 years, you own the business outright, and you haven't had to raid your reserves or your piggy bank or whatever, you kind of look under the sofa or something for all those pennies to buy that business. Amortization, a bit of a difficult one to say that. So this is the second part in my buying things for free, or not even buying them, I suppose. So if you want to know how to buy a property and fund it and live in it basically for nothing, so the £0 house, check that video out, which I've previously done, where you can go and watch that video and find out how you can buy and live in a house for free. So this one is actually going to be on buying a business for free. So you often hear of people say, oh, I bought a business for £1 or something like that. Well, in my opinion, normally when people buy a business for £1, it is because the business is laden with debt, or it's not making any money, or there's some fundamental issue that you've got to sort out. So you're going to be heavily involved in that business, either sticking money straight in it to keep it afloat, or you're going to have to be straight hands on deck trying to sort out the issues. So although they're buying them for £1, I don't think they're really buying them for free, in all honesty, because 99% of the time you're going to have to inject a load of your own money almost immediately in order to keep the debtors at bay, restructure things and the rest of it. So to say you can buy a business for £1, I think is slightly misleading. I know we all like a bit of clickbait, and to some degree some of the titles in here are going to lead you into this. But just so we're wary of that, I don't think buying a business for £1 is a strategy that is like zero money down. What is a real tangible strategy is actually vendor financing. So I'll give you an example. I'm going to buy a factory making signs, for instance, off of somebody, and they want £250,000 for it. First of all, I'd have the chat with the owner and see obviously where they're at, what their strategy is and the rest of it. And what I would be looking for is that maybe they want that money, but they're not desperate for it. They're realistic about the valuation of their business. It's not sky high. They haven't been given some silly valuation. They understand that they are perhaps the face of that business and they're going to have to be managed out of it and the rest of it. So that's where I would be looking at what we call vendor financing. So I would be saying to the owner, what I'd like to do is basically have your business, but I'd like to pay you a salary and a share of the profits from the retained profits, because I know how to fix the problems here, or grow your business and amalgamate it, make it more efficient. But I need you to remain in the business for a period of, say, 3 or 4 years, and I'm going to continue paying you, and I'm going to give you a share of the profits, even the profits after I've grown the business as well. So they should quite like that theory. And then I'm going to phase you out slowly. And basically what you're doing is you're using the retained profits from the business to pay the owner the asking price, but over a prolonged period of time. So that way you're actually buying the business for nothing. You're not using your own money. So that way you're not actually using your own money in this particular deal. What you're doing is you're using the profits from the business to fund the purchase of the business. Now, sometimes you won't be able to get away with full vendor financing. Sometimes you'll have to buy the business outright, or sometimes you may have to even look at like part financing, part buying it outright. So each scenario will be different, but in the basis that you're buying it outright, then you should be able to strike up a bit of a better deal. You know, the owner just wants out the back door, gone, finished. I don't want any ties with it, nothing at all. Then that business is valued completely differently to a business where you're going to fade the owner out and use them as effectively vendor financing. So in this strategy where you've basically said, I'm going to buy it for £250,000, £250,000. I'm going to pay you £50,000 a year for 5 years. So they get their £250,000, but on top of that, I'm going to pay you 10% of the profits, and I'm going to grow your business from £1 million to a £2 million business with, say, 10% EBITDA. So they're going to get another £20,000 once you get to that £2 million, that 10% EBITDA. So they're going to be laughing. They're going to think, well, I'm going to get £50,000. I don't have to deal with the stress of the business. I get that for 5 years. So I get my 250 plus to beat inflation and keep me happy. I get 10% of the profits, which they'll be incentivized to make sure they'll get. And then at the end of the deal, they end up with probably more than what they were asking for, or more realistic price maybe, or maybe if their price was totally unrealistic, it's a way of achieving that. But you haven't had to actually use your own money. So at the end of the 5 years, you own the business outright and you haven't had to raid your reserves or your piggy bank or whatever. You can look under the sofa or something for all those pennies to buy that business. So that's vendor financing. Now, you can borrow the money from the bank as well. That's a good way of funding it for free, essentially. It's not for free because obviously you're borrowing the money. Vendor financing is my preferred method. If you can get that, you can say, I'll pay you half now, half in a year's time, adjusted for any losses, all those sort of things. You have to be more fancy about it. People always think that when you buy a business, you have to just literally have like the money to buy it and that's it. But there are many, many, many different ways of funding it. Vendor financing, borrowing the money from the bank, they'll often fund a percentage of it, especially if it's profitable or the underlying ability of the business is profitable. Buying it for £1 is a way of funding it, I suppose, but you'll have to then find the money. In principle, you've got kind of borrow the money from the bank, which you'll normally have to put some skin in the game yourself. So you are using your money there. Buying the business for £1 because it's laden with debt, where you're going to have to put some money in yourself or restructure those debts. But there's more often than not, you're going to have to put some money in yourself. And then the final thing is the vendor financing, which in theory, if you structure that deal right, you shouldn't have to put any of your own money in. You might not make any money for the first 3 or 4 years. So you might have to put a bit of your own time in, or maybe some of your existing management staff in to make sure that business does generate those profits. But at the end of the 5-year journey, the owner will be out. You'll own that business entirely. You would have grown it, and you should get economies of scale because you'll be vertically integrating that business with your existing operations. If you want to learn more about vertical integration, please check out those videos that I've done as well. And if you haven't checked out any of the videos, please just go and start at the beginning. Have a look through them, look at the property ones, the businesses, the podcasts, everything the lot. There's loads and loads and loads of content on there for you to watch for hours on end, or you can listen to us on Spotify and Apple Music as well for the podcast episodes. So if you want to get on those podcasts, you need to go over to www.matthewcox.biz, fill in the form, apply to be on the podcast there. And if you don't want to do that, then please just like and subscribe, comment on any of the videos at all. So there's a real wealth of information. It shows, the analytics show that a lot of people watch the videos, but not all of you are subscribed or hitting the like button or whatever. So if you watch it, do us a favor, just press the like button. That's all you got to do. Even if you don't want to subscribe, even if you don't want to comment, you're shy, whatever, just hit the like button. That's just no different to like Facebook or any of the other social media things. That just lets us know that you like the video and you found it useful.